What's going on, folks? First thing I like to say is that you may notice that I'm using a different platform to do these videos. That's because, FoodTube was giving me problems, but I got a remedy for that. So until then, I'll be using this particular platform to do these videos. So what I'm going to talk about episode 3 and episode 4 of the Queen Latifah Equalizer series. And so far, so good. To me, I pretty much like it. It's just there's a couple of things that we can nitpick on and stuff, but overall, it's pretty good and it's entertaining. So now, episode 3. Mm, but let me just get to it. So episode 3 is centered around this guy who breaks out of prison. He was locked up for like 10 years on a murder charge. So he goes to visit his best friend because apparently the best friend who was locked up uh, for a time being with him but got out before him. So he has some information on the guy who broke out's case. But when the guy gets there, he finds that the friend he was gonna meet is dead. So he scurries out, but before leaving his handprints and all that over everything. Um, Police is looking for him, obviously, and so his public defender is the one who contacts Queen Latifah. She agrees to meet him, and she's talking to him, and he's telling her about the case. And she doesn't want to do it. 'Cause she said, "Hey, I don't represent murderers," but the um, public defender convinces her that, hey, this guy, something's not right about his case. Take a look at it. She agrees to do it. Then she uses her CIA powers to track down the guy, even though she don't have no number for him, anything like that. She finds him and she kind of jacks him up a little bit and say, "Hey, I'm gonna help you. Trust me." He go burn her phone. Only use that to contact me. You start looking into the guy's case. Um, he kind of messed up because he goes to see his I guess his son's mother or something like that. Promises, hey, he gonna make it up to her and all that. But he's a wanted fugitive. Queen Latifah. Um, the guy gives her a tip. He was like, "Hey, um, my best friend before he died, while I was still in, he told me this guy named Preacher might be involved." So um, Adam Goldberg's character on that supercomputer that he have, looks up, find it, Preacher, some black guy from Queens. Queen Latifah goes to see him. She breaks in the house, and this scene is kind of ridiculous. So she breaks in the house. She has a gun out and everything. So they show us the guy creeping up in the background. He literally makes noise trying to creep up on her, but she don't turn around and react to that. But somehow, when he gets close to her, he has a bat in his hand. When he gets close to her, she don't turn around, but somehow he swings the bat. She ducks without looking back at him and takes him and body slams the guy and jacks him up a little bit, and he explains to her, "Hey, I don't have nothing, didn't have nothing to do with that murder or anything like that. I just robbed the house." And blah blah blah. So that lead was kind of like a dead end. That lead was sort of like a dead end. And kind of this episode is not really that compelling. But the best thing about it is that it created a situation for the Queen Latifah character and the police officer character, the lead investigator character, to actually get together and meet up again and stuff. And they kind of decide that, hey, we're going to join forces on this one and try to like work it from both sides and stuff like that. So he kind of agrees. And she did some, she does some more digging, and she finds out that there is another witness, um, that for some reason the defense, because she spoke to the lawyer, and she was like, they didn't allow the defense to bring this up during trial. There was another witness that seen somebody else enter the lady's apartment at the time of the murder, beside the guy they framed. And so their thing was, well, why would the judge suppress this and things like that? Why would they suppress this information? So, to make a long story short, it ended up being some guy who worked at the hospital with the lady because the lady was a nurse who got murdered. But he was best friends of the judge. He was best friend with the judge's son. So for some reason, the judge's mother decided to help him with this case. And it's one of those things where really and truly, they really didn't have strong enough evidence to get the judge, but somehow the judge agrees to help him prosecute. But it's like, okay, you guys don't really have enough evidence. I guess the only thing they did wrong, they ended up sending somebody to kill the guy that the escapee, I think his name was Mark, was going to see. And they really didn't have to do that, because he was going to give them information, but he wasn't going to give them information that would implement neither one of them. So by them getting the other guy to kill that guy, then they ended up killing this guy. They just laid a trail right back to themselves when they didn't have to. And I was thinking all through this episode, if they wanted to really clear themselves, why didn't they just kill the guy while he was in prison? They could have arranged to, have somebody stab the guy, whatever, and they wouldn't even had those kind of problems if they would have just offed the guy while he was in prison. So that was pretty much the main thing with that episode. It wasn't any other, really big issues in that situation. That one wasn't really very, very good. It wasn't really that compelling to me. And, no sense of of my imagination was that really. So that's sort of like a low point so far. Now, episode 4, that was pretty good. And it centers around, it was this young charismatic leader in the neighborhood. I believe it was in Harlem, Queens, or something, some kind of neighborhood that was going through gentrification, and they had this young black guy who was standing up, trying to organize the community to help the people stay in the neighborhood and build commerce within the neighborhood, of course. And so it centers around him being murdered, but they made it look like a suicide. So his two closest friends from the neighborhood, they're the ones who contacted Queen Latifah, and they sort of like convinced her that, hey, this guy had a lot of stuff going for him. Now, despite him having problems in his past, he wasn't a guy who would commit suicide. And so she does a little investigation, and while she's doing her investigation, she sees her detective friend outside putting flowers by the memorial. And so she finds the clue. She finds the clue by the window where they said he jumped out of a Nike that was a pair of Nikes that was like $2,000, something like that. And she was like, "Hey, this guy couldn't afford no $2,000 Nikes." So she 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 spoke to her investigator friend. She kind of like ran up on him while he was in the shower of a gym or something like that. Kind of, funny scene. He taking a shower. She run up on him, asking information how he know Malik. That was the guy's name. Um, and what gangs are in the neighborhood or something like that. So she tracked down the guy who was the head of the gang, who ran the gang in that neighborhood. So she she rides up on her motorcycle to go see these guys, right? She rides up on a motorcycle to go see these guys. They like making mother jokes and soccer mom jokes and like, whose mama is this, man? And she cracking jokes on them and like say, man, that guy's way too ugly for me to be his mama. So anyway, she see the guy who with the $2,000 platinum edition Nikes on, and they about to do gang activities on her, and then she pulls out her finger and start aiming, and when she aims, stuff starts to blow up, and she scared these guys, and all this and that, and of course it's her um what's that character's name? I can't think of her name. The character, what's her name? Teresa or something like that. The Anyway, the character that's married to the Adam Goldberg character, she's really good with the guns and stuff. She good with the guns. That was her like doing a diversion, shooting stuff, blowing it up. So she gets close enough to the guy to put a tap on his phone. So he makes a call. He ends up calling, one of the guys who's Malik's friend. So it ends up that the drug dealer, he works for this, I call him like a Donald Trump type character, the evil white billionaire developer who wants to come in and buy everything and, kick all the black people out and stuff. He was in the process of doing one of those moves. They can't really get to him directly because he's too connected, but they figure out a way to get through him by like going through his son, because he's one of those guys who publicly humiliates his son and stuff like that. So his son kind of got an axe to grind with him. So he agrees to help the Queen Latifah character and Christopher North, get to him by sneaking into one of his events and getting kicked out. So the TV show makes it seem as though they failed their mission because they get found out, they get kicked out. But actually, they bug the room, so they overhear him admitting to doing all these dirty dealings and getting people killed and having people harassed to move out, and they get enough information for him to be arrested. But this was a pretty good episode because again it got us to see more of the detective and Queen Latifah interact more together. So I don't know if they're gonna end up, making them, get into a romance together or something like that. Because it seemed like it's kind of leaning towards that way, where they playing this little cat and mouse game and stuff like that, where they both building up admiration for each other as well. So it wasn't, they had another side story about the daughter getting getting involved in politics and community work and all that stuff. That wasn't really all that interesting, but they always try to like do this thing to where at the end they try to like go to family stuff, or either something that like in the first episode, that has something to do with uh black people coming together and all that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff it seemed disingenuous in a show like this. It seemed like you forcing that kind of stuff in. So that kind of stuff, if they left that out, I would be fine with it. You don't need to be emphasizing that kind of stuff, because it don't seem real. It don't seem real. But overall, this was a pretty good episode, and it didn't have any outrageous scenes of her fight, because that's the sort of main thing with this. It's sort of like, I can believe Queen Latifah outsmarting people. I can believe Queen Latifah to a certain extent, maybe beating up one or two people. I can believe if you tell me that Queen Latifah is trained to use a gun, she can use a gun, but I don't believe that she can run people, chase people down. I don't believe that she can fight and beat up 7 or 8 people at a time. That part ain't believable. None of that kind of stuff is believable to me, and that hurt the show. So now they kind of like toning that stuff down and just giving her stuff to where it's believable that she can do. So as long as they do that, like I said, everything else about the show is good. They got a lot of good actors. The acting is good. The storylines, for the most part, are interesting. All that stuff is good. All that stuff is good. They just got to figure out the action things and what they can do. Because I guess if they can get the other character involved. I think her name is Lynn. Lynn looks like she's more capable of doing physical things, but because she's small in stature, I don't want to see her flipping over and just throwing around men that are 6'4", 250 pounds, because that ain't believable. As long as they keep it to where the action scenes are believable with the women, is good. But like I said, overall it's good. Episode 4 was good. 3 was kind of like a low point. I'm interested in seeing, what more this show had to offer. All right, you guys. Peace.